Okay, I had to start this specific live for a reason. But that's fine. I'll just do a part two to this. I'll separate it because it's going to be pretty long. All right. Just a minute. Okay, parent alienated or alienation. So I'm going to try to start off in like manner that I started earlier before I got disrupted electronically. Now, I'm gonna separate it, okay? And this is one section of it, and then I'm gonna throw the other one. I don't know, probably later or tomorrow. Now, you have certain females of certain kinds of mindsets that causes division amongst families, amongst their own home, surrounding children. Okay, and what I mean by that is Facebook is being used as a weapon to do these parent alienations or to parent alienate fathers on purpose. You know, like teenagers that may come across something that they want or need it. I felt as though that no one else uh, should be or are unable to get. Yeah. Their flaunt, their negative behavior with someone new that they have caused a division amongst their own home with. Okay, and majority of these women um, will do these things to cause a disruption towards the baby father or the boyfriend or something like that. Any surrounding that sort of behavior. Um, it's sort of like flaunting somewhat power in a person's face, or they create uh, stories or headlines to make people believe their childish ways. Now, what I stated earlier in the video before I got disrupted, that um, I found it very disturbing, and for these so-called professionals to not understand and see and notice and pay attention, that if someone was together for more than a decade or so, maybe 10 years, maybe 11, 12 or more, and there's children involved, okay, and the other Pacific parent, as far as the mother, has a record of unfitness or abandonment or some form of misdeeds, knowing the fact that they cannot contribute to a positive lifestyle for these children in the home. Um, they know for a fact that whatever behavior that they choose to disrupt the home with, okay, that they're being backed by a lot of family service, a lot of services that comes into the home, and at that pinpoint to try to downput the fathers. There is no forms of justice for fathers. There has always been uh, females with trauma or mental conditions that grows up and have children protection over anything. You know, they can display whatever behavior around their children and do things to cause violence or bring people that involve themselves in violence or drugs or anyone that formed, that has been incarcerated or anything of that nature and still be backed by social workers. Now, I blame a lot of the welfare system in certain states that come out and contribute to the behavior instead of them finding out the simple facts. Okay. And then everything that's being said or done or told, because they are the mothers or anything of that sort, they can just do whatever they want to do. Let me check. I'm not really on my phone, so what I'm gonna do is check and see if I have my chat open. Because I need to turn it off. Okay, yeah. Now, Facebook is really being intentionally used, like I said, as a weapon of parent alienation or certain people being alienated against because, um, like I said, if you have someone maybe in their 30s, 35, close to almost 40, and y'all been together 10 to 20, maybe 12, 13 years, all of a sudden there's a drop inside of the house or the family. Uh, you know, both parents are taking care of the children. Maybe one might be doing a little bit more than the other parent just by their behavior and the things that they do, the protection, like keeping the house clean, feeding the children when they come from school, taking them to doctors, um, um, keeping it, making sure their clothes is clean, making sure they fresh, making sure their behavior is okay, talking to them to see what's going on with them in their life. And the other parent concern is only outside of the door. Okay. And the behavior is behaving, it's kind of like childlike. There's a little bit of stepping into the being a parent, but then there is no times and days off when you're dealing with parenthood. It's hard for a good father in America. I'm sorry. I don't care what nobody says. It's hard for a good father to have a stable home, a peaceful home, because there's so many distractions that gets into certain people that has trauma that goes undocumented and goes untreated. And they're having children and they're dumping into the households with these children, okay? And they just get to the point where they don't really care what happens to their home and their children because social workers and the system will back it up. If they decided to spend a weekend out with a house full of drug dealers or people going in and out of the house 10, 11 o'clock at night, and you got children that's younger than 10 years old, 11, 12, and they're supposed to be getting ready to go to school the next day. They're supposed to be making sure their homework is correct, making sure their clothing is set out and ready, making sure that their homework is done. And they're not able to do that. Or maybe sleep peaceful at night because the other parent wants to allow people that are, still dealing with street life into the home at night. And if the other parent feels as though, okay, look, I don't want these type of elements around in the house, that's when the fight goes on. The break apart comes in because the other parent that's not used to having a stable, functional home gets upset with the other individual that want to make sure their home is okay. So you get them type of individuals, like I said, that still have not gotten out of their teenage mindset, still in high school, uh, not so much verbally, but functionally, because um, they would use, now they get to the point where those type of people, those type of parents will get on Facebook and use it as a weapon if they decide to just get up, okay, well, I'm going to disrupt my own home and I'm going to go sleep around and I'm going to do something to stop the peacefulness in this home or stop the function that it should be going in the order it should be going into. And I'm going to get ready to get up and just find me another family and just magically just separate. Now, certain forms of people that create these parent alienation, they not only have one set of family, they have several sets of families that they have done over the years and created. And what have these social workers and certain elements that's supposed to so-called help you out socially, back it up, protect it. Because if they say the father is supposed to be the head of the home, number one, right? And if the other parent is not functioning according to what needs to be focused on, but the other parent, the father is being, can I say, destroyed or disrespected by the social workers that are so-called professional to come into the home to find a way to separate him. And then, like I said, the video I just lost, I stated, it was like an example of the movie. If anyone of them understands this or know this movie's name, it's an old movie, but it's Cornbread and Earl. I'm gonna see if I can mention another movie. It's an example of how when the social worker came into the home and she was basically functioning or trying to figure out if a man was in the home, did she sneakily have another man in the house, as if she wasn't supposed to have anybody? Well, where are you getting money from? How did he such and such? But why is he getting it? When he got in trouble at the market because he picked up something without permission, you know, now everyone is looking at her because she is not able to deal with a man because she don't understand anything. So she's following the rules of these social workers and these people that's coming out that's in control because she's under welfare care. So if you really see it, it still hasn't changed. Nothing changed as far as things being aimed at the fathers. And when those type of people that want to live or destroy their home, that don't want nothing natural or normal, they're being congratulated. Now every case is not like that, but this is what's going on. Another example is another black guy that um, he did a video on. I'm sure people might have seen it. It had been out for years though, where he didn't even know his daughter died. He went to the funeral and she had the police department there so he won't get near the casket. Now you cannot tell me this is some demonic shit or something evil going on here where it gets to the point where another parent is doing these parent alienation tactics or creating things or creating problems because they dislike being told or don't want to function under the natural order of authority and um, um, create things for the other parent to not know what's going on with them, knowing that the other parent knows how you really are. And the results are always there because the unfitness is always present. There's always a track in these type of people. They have folders. They've been constantly called on. And what do they do? And in Philadelphia, I'm sorry, that's my hometown at that time, but that state is really fucking out of control. Yeah, they allow so many children back into the homes of these mothers that end up being killed or dead later. When in the long run, the majority of the fathers has been calling or complaining, knowing for a fact, they know there's a lot of men, I know they know what's up. They don't really have the time to want to fucking call them for protection or to be helped out. Because once the parent alienated, The stigma is already there. They don't want to. People, certain men give up. Okay, and a lot of men just don't. Some men, if you find that you fit, you okay, you want to fight, get through the shit, whatever. Okay, I respect that. I understand it. But certain men don't want to keep fighting something that's being protected. This is what kind of create a lot of this domestic violence that's going on. And the more and more certain behaviors are being supported and not being looked at or protected, the violence is going to continue to keep escalating. There's a lot of boys and girls that grew up with their father, okay, since they were infant. School park, movies, whatever, restaurants. They got all these memories in their head and their heart. And all of a sudden, someone wants to um, go back into their childhood when they just had children and they don't want to change. They want to get on social media and you want to find certain men to fill whatever need that you need at that time because you feel as though somebody's being too fathered and they disrespect you. They disrespected you. You consider it a disrespect when someone was just telling you something positive to make sure that the house doesn't fall down. They go and look for old high school boyfriends or college boyfriends or job boyfriend, ex co-workers, a friend of a friend, um, their friends' suggestion of men that they want to talk to or find every single day. And now that this economy and the way this country is going and the road that it's going down, after all the mistakes, you're getting a majority of those women panicking, having mental breakdowns or trauma. Yeah. Now, like I said, I'm not speaking about none of them fools that doing things to their families, okay, and being disrespectful and not functioning on their home or taking the money and spending it on drugs or doing all that other stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stand-up, upright man that's God-fearing, and I mean God-fearing, not this phony crap that people are displaying for attention. Because there's a lot of videos around this for attention that just want attention. Okay, I'm talking about the John Q type men that went through something to you know uh, uh, fighting to get medication for their child or something like that, or um, going against the damn teachers that knowing that they do things wrong, or not following up on certain things, or I'm talking about them that love to hear when their children say, "I love you, Pop. I love you, Dad. You know my hero and this and that." Just like me. Okay, when I used to hear it from my son, that is the beautifulest thing in the world to sit here and hear a child tell you you're like a hero to them. Or every time I go through something, like my son said to me at that time, before he passed, I ain't gonna go into that he felt as though I was his hero to him because every time he goes through something, even if it's bullying in school, I was always there present for him. I didn't go up there hollering and yelling, and because that's what they expect black men to do, to go up there and create problems and chaos. But now, when you're coming mellow, or you coming all strong, or you speaking in a certain manner, they consider you a threat. But then, like I said, if you're a father or dad that actually try to stand up for things, they find ways to block you. Trust me. There's some devious people out here that's legalizing shit, or that's legally doing things against people, men. Okay, these fathers. And they're contributing to the behaviors that I was just talking about that majority of females do with children in the house. And what's sad is Like I said, some of them after they do a little breakup for 10 to 12 years and they done had these children. And like I said, another incident that I had noticed where you got some people that they'll wait, they'll leave another house after a split up, right? And it can be just 2 months after the split up. You come to find out that this person already been with another guy way before you even know it. Okay, and they got 4 or 5 children trailing behind them. And the reason why a majority of this thing that goes on in this manner is because they want to have certain people in their home that's still having street problems or involved in prostitution, or they bring in the drugs and shit, and or they children are crazy and they children want to run with they want your children run with them children out the door 10, 11 o'clock at night and not be sleep ready for school the next day. The house smelling bad, is funky, kids not dressed. This is the type of lifestyle that these people are creating that's acting like this. And what do social workers do? It's not everybody. But what do majority of these buildings that's supposed to be supporting these people that's having problems do? They support that and condone that, and they won't pay attention or question that. Why are you out late night and you have children at home? Don't ask majority of women that. Why are you, we get some of them that do this when you start to tell them things that, and this is for those individuals that has trauma that they haven't taken care of themselves. Instead of going getting help, they will keep continuing the behavior, and even with children. Okay, they continue to behave. They show children that, okay, well, if your dad disagrees on something, let me go out here and sleep on the couch for a couple months, and let me be up 11, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, sleeping around, playing on the phone, talking to, maybe an old fling or something like that. And this is normal, okay, for these people that comes into your home and wants you to function according to things that's supposed to be happening in the natural order. But they don't question the behavior of the other parent. It's always towards the dads. And then you get majority of these girls grow up, right? After being the father being parent alienated. They forget all that. The strictness and the function and the peacefulness that was present when the father was there in the home is out the window. Now, before you know it, they end up pregnant at a young age. Okay. The mother dealing with the same lifestyle of the individuals that she chose to hang around and have her children around, start to suffer even more. Now, when you pinpoint it out before it even happens, they get angry with you and say, "Oh, what? Well, you this and then you." It's crazy. It's like this, and everybody knows this that has a mind. When you stand up for right things, you best to be aware and be on alert for uh, uh, you to be attacked. You're gonna always be attacked when you're doing the right thing. People that do the wrong thing get a little lesser. Time comes that certain things come to them slow paced. I don't care what nobody say. That's what I observe. Okay, but for the men that's dealing with this, okay, and they're still dealing with it, don't be a fool, okay, and go on Facebook or anything else, Instagram, whatever, and you see that this is being done to you. You have a choice. Either you want to feed into it or you want to ignore it. You can ignore it and there's several methods of things to conquer this demon, because that's what it is. It's a demon. You have certain people that have abandonment issues and they can't function when they have children. So when there's an individual that comes in the form of what they didn't have, you'll be an enemy because you can they can't take the certain form of authority. Okay? And it creates problems. And like I said, here comes the wicked system people. The minions coming in and they throw a little coat over that, blanket over it, and protect it. They won't pay attention or function with it. They're protected. Certain men and certain fathers out here has been complaining, making calls to prevent situations, and then before you know it, shit happens. Child's dead, or when they know something, a disaster happens, this is when they definitely will push aside the father. Anything that's being said or told can be used as a weapon of apparent alienation. Now they pay attention to the shit. Now it keeps them protected to, um, how can I say? So they can be deemed or seen as if, oh, I tried to tell people this is what's going on, or this is what's really going on. When one parent doesn't have a record of this type of behavior, but the other one do. But you're blaming the other person that doesn't have anything involved in that type of shit, right? Because he's the father. Because the father is always going to be an enemy here in this fucking place when you're dealing with uh, uh, child, especially welfare. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy how people go into their 40s and they still behaving high school like, you know, Happy Meal, dangling toys and shit. This is what those type of people do. On Facebook, they take pictures with the new guy, right? Trying to stir up problems for the other individual. If he's, that type of person, they want to flip out over something stupid, you run across those type of dudes. Because in reality, it is very disrespectful for a grown adult to post pictures, okay, of a new asshole that I'm sure that this specific parent, decided to deal with. After coming out of a what, 13, sometimes 14-year relationship, that's someone unstable. Okay. But when you are, and I'm like I said, I'm sitting here talking to the fathers. When you are a father and you happy about your children, you done went to the hospital with the majority of whatever the case, you done fed them, held them in your arms all night, up in the night, all day, and crying and taking them to the hospital if they get sick, or buying things for them to function straight, make sure everything's okay and safe with them. And then you turn around later on, and because someone else's pride, sin, or mental sickness wants to divide the home, right? And then just out of the blue, the father, the man has to deal with that shit. Ain't no man who want to uh, say that this is okay or act like there's no heartfelt, no hard feelings when it comes to a matter like this. That's really bad. There's so many girls out here 30, 40 years old that haven't really seen their father since they was probably like 5 years old or something like that. That's dead, and you have an unstable parent that that's over sexualized or still dealing with trauma, and people try to help you get to a state that you should be, and you still refuse to get the care to help you and your children or everyone that's around you. And then you think that, like I said, your children is fine without the other parent. It's okay. It's funny. It's a fad. Everyone else is doing it, so why not? I'm like, what? And another wild thing I heard, okay, from certain girls is this. When the mother, this is an example, a mother told their girlfriend of basically the routine of their household. And they're like, well, then the other girl that's living a certain way too is saying, okay, well, I can't go like that, girl. That's crazy. What? Over 10:30 and you ain't separate yet? Like, I'm like, what? Then you hear, what is another wild thing I heard? Um, you shouldn't be living like that. I can't live like that. That's boring. What the fuck? When I heard that, when I heard that kind of stuff from people, I knew society socially was crumbling, especially being here. There is some sort of, and I think this has to do with some type of pimpology type shit because y'all bringing this pimp like behavior into homes with children in it, okay, and couples with that had children, and you bring you're feeding this negative shit around a normal family. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting into the homes. It's messing certain people kinds of people heads up. Where they pay attention to that, and they can be a full adult and they're sidelined with that talk and that behavior and follow every rule that they can. Like I said, parent alienation is one hell of a demon. You know, the people that gets indoctrinated by this shit are the same people that I'm mentioning. There's certain lifestyles that they still live in. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody done dealt with certain street elements and certain things, but when you become adult and you have children, that's a difference. All that shit should been thrown out the window. You know, everybody's not still, you know, carrying pagers and beepers and cell phones and shit all fucking day and night, riding on bikes and eating ice cream. And if you 30, 40 something years old and you want to do this every night, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. Like I said, it's creating a lot of domestic disputes for those individuals that are unaware of this specific kind of behavior. Certain talks and languages that provokes it. You know what I'm saying? It's disturbing. Like I said, this is what stems out of this certain mindset and certain behavior that these children are being raised in. And like I said before, you know it, they having children. They can't function in society. They don't know what's going on out here in this world. Okay. The sick parent is still continuing to cause the sickness and the poison and the disease mentally into the heads of their children. And everyone around them seem to not know what's going on. But the people that know these types of people know that there's a history present. And some of them still will contribute to the shit that's being done. Some sideline with it. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like this. When there is even evidence of a form of parent alienation. Okay. and these tactics that's present, these so-called professionals, these so-called smart people that are supposed to so-called following things and to keep things in order. There's no such thing as something in order that's already out of order. When you contribute to the bullshit within itself, and you think that the machine is not full of shit, you make yourself an ass. That's how I feel about it. Yet, like I said, some men and women don't, they won't admit it, or some even express to this day that they suffered the fact that their father or their mother is gone, um, due to the fact of lies or things being told or avoiding or saying that a parent. You got some people that go as low as saying, "Well, your father or your mother is dead. Um, I couldn't get in contact with them when they done sent the letter or they done sent the message. Search for them, and you get those people with the same damn scenario and say they couldn't find anyone, or they say things to keep them, like I said, to keep the lie going. You're gonna always know a lie is present, especially in your home if you have children. Okay, and you know you're doing whatever you can to make sure they're okay. You know when that Pacific energy comes in the home and things not feeling right. Okay, and this is for parents that have. Uh, this is like another way of noticing things. If parent have a certain vibration or heavy feeling of something's not right and within the home and itself, and it's been going on for a long time, you better pay attention to that. And what I'm saying is, one parent can be stepping out and bringing problems to the door. You know, majority of these violent incidents that's taking place when you get certain men come shooting up at somebody's house because they dating some other dude's baby mother with children, 5 or 6 damn children in the house, and she probably done stole something. She probably done lied on him. Um, um, she's in the midst of something, drugs are being stolen or some shit like that. Somebody says something to somebody, it even gets to that point like that. They found out where she lived at, and then your house shut up, and your kids got hit up because one person decided to destroy the home and stepping out. And when you're dealing with people like that, and you ready to holler at them and tell them, "Yo, I can't deal with this shit. We got kids in this fucking house." That's when the parent alienation comes in, because they gotta find some way to, "Oh, you made me look small. You made me feel a certain way. Hey, I'm gonna say something to you. I'm gonna put some bullshit on you, or I, I I'm not happy here," and it's crazy. And these are certain kinds of people, like I said, that have trauma. Trauma. This is the reason why a lot of people state you gotta talk and know a person for more at least a few years. Don't have no children by them. Don't even sleep with them if you can. Be focused on knowing that person and their family and their household before you deal with them, because you can make a big mistake with your life. People don't understand sex is sex. Sex is sacred. You understand? You're mixing realities together. Sometimes there can be a bomb being created, or uh, it can bring some form of joy or happiness or something like that. Majority of the time, the way it is nowadays, that's even hard to find, because so many people with so many energies within them and they wounds. So many men with uh, so many vibrations with them in general. You never know what you can get or what you create. So this gonna be part one. I'm gonna make another part two about this because it needs to be this need to be said in a certain manner because it keeps going. It keeps going. So many men walking around here with their head down, they depressed because they haven't seen their children in years, and uh, this specific demon is pressing on it. Uh, like I said, when a man loves their children or their child, you don't fuck with that. You gotta be careful. Especially you get people that nowadays where they want to uh, start stepping in other people's personal business where uh, they say, "Oh, we heard you a deadbeat. We heard you this and that," right? And they don't know nothing going on with that specific man in that household. Okay, so it's like finding serious matters funny or some form of trying to disrupt or disrespect people as a joke. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Me personally, I never play with that. I never play with nobody's feelings towards them missing their children or uh, shit like that. So I'm closing out. Y'all have a good night. I'll probably do part two either tomorrow or the next day. One.